And they will become really, frankly, bit part players. Now, they won't like that. And that's probably what this is all about, making sure they've got a presence, a brand to monetize, because pretty soon they're not going to be able to get as much money out of being royal.
Move over Montecito. Step aside. As ever, there's a new jam king in town, and his name isn't Harry, it's David Beckham. Or should I say, David Beck-Jam? Because the man who once bent free kicks is now bending the internet with plum preserves. This isn't just about fruit. It's about image, authenticity, and the kind of cultural dethroning Meghan Markle never saw coming. For years, Meghan has tried to position her lifestyle brand as something refined, exclusive, dripping in gravitas. Her as ever preserves weren't marketed as jam. They were staged as quiet luxury in a jar. Each one came with PR rollouts, photos styled like fashion campaigns, and even stories of Meghan gifting jars to Serena Williams and Abigail Spencer as if she were bestowing royal relics. Every spoonful was treated like a symbol. Now compare that to Beckham. One weekend, a backyard plum tree, a label maker, and Victoria Beckham filming him in the kitchen, proudly showing off his creation. Neat rows of jars marked David Beck-Jam. That's it. No PR consultants, no Netflix tie-in, just irony, charm, and a silly pun. And somehow, that lightheartedness landed harder with fans than Meghan's entire lifestyle empire.
Writing about saying that Harry did have fears that he might, become irrelevant into his 50s, and they're making a huge noise at the moment.
Yeah.
But he undoubtedly will. He'll be a bald 50-year-old prince that, a gentleman, someone formerly known as Prince. That's what he will be.
One Twitter user wrote, Meghan tried to out-goop Gwyneth. Beckham just out-jammed Meghan with one pun. The comment racked up 40,000 likes in a single afternoon. The contradiction is brutal. Meghan's jars were meticulously arranged with dried flower sprinkles, a brand curated to look like nobility in the kitchen. Beckham's jars? He literally laughed at Victoria's suggestion that he's an entrepreneur. No, I'm not, he shrugged, chuckling while spooning jam. That moment of refusal, of rejecting the seriousness of it all, is precisely what made people fall in love with Beck-Jam. As one commentator on BBC Radio joked, he's finally won his first kitchen trophy. And here's the irony Meghan can't outrun. For all the effort she put into making jam aspirational, Beckham made it funny, approachable, and authentic without even trying. It wasn't just jam versus jam. It was branding versus banter, and in the court of public opinion, banter won. But this story doesn't end in Meghan's kitchen or Beckham's pantry. Because when a lifestyle brand is dethroned this publicly, it triggers a ripple effect across fans, industries, and even Hollywood itself. As one tabloid editor noted, if Meghan can't make jam feel authentic, what does that say about her entire brand? That question is the ticking clock Meghan's PR team now faces.
Some journalists in America who were saying how we love a kind of boy or girl done good. And the fact that for Harry and Meghan, for a very long time, a lot of the stories have been negative and around, well, we felt badly treated by the royal.
So how did one jar of jam ignite a royal-sized identity crisis? And what does this bizarre showdown reveal about the future of celebrity branding itself? Stay with me, because the internet isn't just laughing, it's rewriting the rules of cultural influence, one plum at a time. If part one was a kitchen chuckle, part two is where the laughter turns sharp. Because while David Beckham was being celebrated as the accidental jam king, Meghan Markle was facing something far harsher, a brand credibility crisis. For someone who's built her entire post-royal identity around lifestyle branding and curated authenticity, being undercut by jars of plum preserves was more than embarrassing, it was existential. Reports suggest Meghan wasn't thrilled by the comparisons. According to the Daily Mail, sources close to her inner circle hinted she found the internet's obsession with Beck-Jam unfairly trivializing. To her, as ever wasn't just about jam, it was the cornerstone of her larger attempt to build a Gwyneth Paltrow-style empire. Yet that's exactly why fans doubled down. On TikTok, clips comparing Meghan's dried flower sprinkles with Beckham's handwritten labels went viral under the caption, "One's curated, one's cultured." The video racked up over 1 million views in 24 hours, and the comments were ruthless. One user wrote, Meghan made jam feel like homework. Beckham made it feel like brunch. And here's where the contradiction deepened. Meghan's brand was supposed to embody quiet luxury. Artisanal, understated, and rare. But as industry insiders pointed out, luxury only works if people believe in the authenticity behind it. You can't manufacture charm, branding analyst Amanda Lockwood told Variety, and Beckham has it in spades. Meghan tried to elevate jam into a status symbol. Beckham made jam into a joke, and people loved him for it. That industry critique stung because it reframed Meghan's jam not as high-end, but as overproduced.
And when there's the Sussexes, because they're doing their branding for their 2 children. She's writing a diary entry every night to Archie and Lilibet. I wonder what that's for, the diary of Archie and Lilibet. I don't know, it's nice.
Meanwhile, fans weren't just laughing. They were weaponizing memes. On X, side-by-side photos of Meghan's stylized jars next to Beckham's plums were captioned, "The Queen of England versus the King of England we actually wanted." Others resurrected old jokes about Meghan's obsession with Hollywood aesthetics, pointing out how a former footballer armed with a label maker managed to outshine her million-dollar PR campaigns. The collective online shrug wasn't just about jam, it was about Meghan's entire image of trying too hard. But the harshest blow didn't come from trolls. It came from mainstream commentary. The Telegraph ran a piece calling Beckham the most authentic influencer alive, while The Guardian quipped that Beck-Jam was the cultural moment Meghan Markle didn't want. These weren't gossip blogs, they were respected outlets, essentially crowning Beckham as the more credible lifestyle figure. For Meghan, who had staked her credibility on as ever, that shift in perception wasn't just uncomfortable, it was dangerous, because if one batch of plum jam could so quickly destabilize her brand, what would happen when Hollywood investors and lifestyle backers started asking hard questions?
Those 2 will be, and they've got all their branding around that, they will be something that they will be able to monetize. And unfortunately about the Sussexes, I just call them H&M, because I don't believe they should have the title, is all about the money.
Already, reports suggested that Meghan's team was privately frustrated by how fast the narrative slipped, and every meme, every late-night joke, every headline about Beck-Jam only tightened the vice. The question now wasn't just whether Meghan's jam could compete, it was whether her larger brand could survive the humiliation. Behind the memes and the mockery, something more serious was unfolding. For Meghan Markle, the jam comparisons weren't just inconvenient, they struck at the heart of her entire post-royal project. And according to reports in Page 6, her PR advisors immediately flagged Beck-Jam as a reputational threat. The concern wasn't about David Beckham stealing her market share, he wasn't even selling his jam. The real danger was that his casual, humorous approach exposed the artificiality of Meghan's heavily curated brand. Insiders claimed discussions within her Montecito circle turned tense. She thought she could own the artisanal space. One branding consultant told The Sun, but Beckham accidentally turned it into a punchline. And the public sided with him. That insight stung, because it revealed a brutal truth. Meghan's, as ever, empire depended on audiences taking her seriously. Beckham's pun showed that maybe they never really did. Meanwhile, Beckham himself leaned into authenticity in the most unexpected way, by refusing to capitalize. In an Instagram story Victoria shared, when a fan suggested he should start selling Beck-Jam, David laughed and said, "No chance! It's just for us!" That offhand remark only deepened the contrast. Meghan had turned jam into a business plan. Beckham turned jam into a family moment.
The King removed the Sussexes titles from Harry and Meghan, and 91% said absolutely.
I agree with
Wow,
it.
that's...
Do you agree with that,
I
Rob?
agree with it.
Do you?
I think because they've disobeyed the HRH and they've flaunted that. They're now talking about, oh, I'm Meghan Sussex. Well, you're slightly, taking the mickey out of the royal family. You're not. You want it out.
As branding expert Marcus Grant told Variety, in an era when audiences are allergic to over-marketing, authenticity isn't what you sell, it's what you don't. And the revelations didn't stop there. Observers quickly drew parallels between Meghan's jam rollout and her wider history of heavily produced ventures. Netflix specials, Spotify deals, staged magazine covers, each project framed as lifestyle-defining, yet each plagued by questions of substance. The jam saga became a metaphor. As one viral Reddit thread put it, if she can't make jam feel real, how can she make anything feel real? Even within Hollywood, the whispers grew louder. Commentators speculated that Meghan's brand investors were uneasy. Reports suggested some backers worried her empire might be sliding into parody. After all, when late-night hosts are joking about dried flower sprinkles on your jars, it's hard to keep projecting gravitas. And with Beckham, a man who didn't even mean to be in the game, now hailed as the authentic alternative, Meghan's credibility was eroding in real time. But perhaps the most damaging revelation came from fans themselves. Dozens posted screenshots of Meghan's pricey jam jars listed on resale sites, some going for $200, mocking the absurdity. In contrast, Beck-Jam was priceless precisely because it wasn't for sale. That irony flipped the power dynamic. Meghan's exclusivity looked desperate, while Beckham's unavailability felt genuine. The jam war was no longer about who made the better product. It was about who represented the better story. And in the modern celebrity marketplace, story is everything. Meghan's story was unraveling. Beckham's was writing itself. By the time the memes hit late-night television, Meghan Markle's jam brand had crossed an invisible line, from cultural curiosity to cultural punchline. Comedians on The Late Show quipped that David Beckham has finally beaten royalty in the jam aisle. Saturday Night Live writers couldn't resist either, reportedly sketching out a parody segment where a fake Meghan solemnly handed jars to A-list friends as if delivering state secrets. The irony was inescapable. The more Meghan tried to preserve her dignity, the more the internet boiled it down to a joke. Fans leaned in hard. On TikTok, one viral audio remix cut between Meghan's polished promotional photos and Beckham laughing with Victoria captioned PR versus plum reality. The soundbite of him saying, "No, I'm not an entrepreneur," became a meme in its own right, used in thousands of videos mocking overserious influencers. One fan wrote bluntly, "Meghan made jam to prove a point. Beckham made jam and became the point." That single comment gained 80,000 likes. Proof the audience wasn't just laughing at her, they were siding with him. Insiders in Hollywood couldn't ignore it. According to a Deadline columnist, investors and collaborators started whispering that Meghan's branding instincts were out of sync with the current culture. In an industry where authenticity is currency, being outshone by a footballer's weekend hobby was a humiliation no PR strategy could spin. It wasn't just a joke, one producer told Variety. It was a referendum on Meghan's entire image. That level of commentary suggested the jam saga had spilled far beyond fruit preserves. It was now shaping Meghan's reputation as a celebrity entrepreneur. And Beckham? He didn't have to lift a finger. His refusal to sell Beck-Jam only amplified his authenticity. As The Guardian dryly noted, David Beckham has discovered the one luxury Meghan Markle hasn't mastered: not caring. That single observation summed up the cultural shift. The harder Meghan tried, the easier Beckham won. His charm, his silliness, his disinterest in monetization, all of it framed him as the winner in a battle he never asked for. The result was a surreal reversal of status. Meghan, once the Duchess promising aspirational living, now looked like the overproduced marketer. Beckham, once the athlete mocked for his voice and image, now stood as the authentic tastemaker. The optics were brutal. It wasn't just jam, it was a cultural dethroning, the royal coup fans joked about in memes. And it left Meghan's empire at a dangerous crossroads, because when authenticity becomes the deciding factor, no amount of PR polish can compete. Meghan's jars had dried flowers and handwritten notes. Beckham's jars had a pun. And yet, in the marketplace of public opinion, the pun was priceless. The dust may have settled in the kitchen, but the fallout from the jam wars is still echoing across Hollywood and beyond. For Meghan Markle, the comparisons to Beckham weren't just cruel, they were clarifying. Her As Ever project was supposed to mark a rebirth, proof she could control the narrative after the Spotify collapse and Netflix's dwindling buzz. Instead, it became the latest reminder of a dangerous perception problem. The harder she tries to prove her relevance, the quicker audiences find the effort exhausting. Commentators suggested the Beck-Jam moment was a cultural reset. This wasn't just jam, media critic Lorraine Jenkins wrote in The Independent. It was the collapse of manufactured aspiration in real time. Her point was simple. Audiences don't want overproduced luxury narratives anymore. They want authenticity, humor, and a story that feels organic. Beckham's Sunday experiment provided all three. Meghan's curated flower jars, by contrast, came across as staged, the very thing audiences are rejecting in 2025. Fans, too, framed the fallout as bigger than jam. On Reddit, a top comment read, "If Meghan loses to jam, she loses to everything." It sounds harsh, but it captured the public mood. To them, this wasn't about fruit preserves, it was about the credibility of her larger brand. Could a woman who lost cultural relevance to a kitchen pun really sell Hollywood on her next empire? That question, commentators argued, was now following her into every boardroom. Meanwhile, Beckham's victory was more profound than it seemed. Industry analysts noted that he had stumbled into the holy grail of modern branding, unintentional influence. By laughing at his own jars, refusing to commercialize them, and letting Victoria casually document the moment, he embodied what marketers spend millions chasing: effortless authenticity. In a media climate where audiences are deeply suspicious of over-curation, that's more powerful than any PR campaign. And here's the cultural kicker. The Jam coup may reshape how celebrities think about lifestyle branding altogether. Why invest millions in packaging when a silly pun and a plum tree can outperform it all? As one marketing executive told Business Insider, every celebrity with a side hustle is studying Beck-Jam right now. If he can win the culture war without selling a jar, why are they burning money on fake authenticity? For Meghan, the fallout is sobering. For Beckham, it's effortless triumph. And for audiences, it's proof that sometimes the cultural crown doesn't go to the person who works hardest, it goes to the one who doesn't even try. So here's the real takeaway. If a pun and a kitchen chuckle can dethrone an entire lifestyle empire, what scandal will topple the next celebrity kingdom? Subscribe, hit like, and stay tuned. Because in this world, the next cultural coup might be just one joke away.